Pledge allegiance. Construction updates. They stay.
Okay, thank you. Start with the IS renovation. Work continues at a rapid pace for this addition. Since I was last here, the roof now has been 100% dried in. There is drywall going in on all floors, second, first, and I think they started the ground. The MEP rough-ins for the building, the second floor really is getting close, called about 90% roughed in wall and above ceiling for mechanical, electrical, and plumbing. The first floor is called around 65 to 70%. Drywall's right behind walls that have been inspected and can be boarded up. The ground floor is probably over 50% roughed in. Those might be light estimates at this point. The exterior of the building, if you see the building, the pink air barrier is going on around the building. The masonry has started in what we call the courtyard area, which is adjacent to the new building on the back side. The foundation backfill at the front of the building has commenced. The waterproofing has been repaired and updated, so they started backfilling the front of the building this week. And the general contractor owes us a schedule update here early in June. When that is received, we'll review it with the district and then determine and evaluate what the next steps are related to the completion of the project in August. There is one change order on the agenda for the IS building. I think it was the Merit Electric's first change order for a couple additional clocks in the orchestra room, and I think one of the practice rooms off the orchestra room. So a couple pictures from the IS. Here's the pink air barrier. That's the elevation you're looking at that the masonry has started. This picture is probably 2 weeks old at this point. Picture of the roof and the demising firewall between the existing building and the addition. That was kind of the last piece of the roof parapet that needed construction to get the roof dried in. Again, that's probably 2 weeks old. A couple photos of the new roof. Some shots of the interior, drywall ongoing in various locations. Again, a couple more shots. The upper one's probably the second floor corridor. The one on the left is probably the first floor corridor. Again, these are 2 weeks old. So drywall has really commenced even in the last 2 weeks in both these areas. There are finishers on site for the second floor. They started today to finishing the drywall. The bus depot maintenance facility, that work again also continues over the hill. The sediment basin is nearly complete. There's some minor details that need completed, but is basically active, getting the rain water runoff during construction. The access road and the drive down to this building has commenced the cut and fill operations for that road. There's probably 10 to 15 feet of cut and fill yet to complete, but that has started. The parking lot embankment for the lower lot, the toe key cut has started where the buses would be parked. And then they started sewer line topsoil removal in preparation to start that work. and started shaking out material for that sewer line that runs way back towards the backside of the property. Couple pictures here. Again, these are a couple weeks old, just sort of starting the cut down for the driveway off of the main road out front. Some pictures of the sediment basin and piping to it. That's a good picture of the sediment basin there under construction. Or a runoff channel that goes to the sediment basin on the backside of the property. And then the elementary school, obviously in the early phases, but has commenced. Really just have one picture. I included sort of the phasing here in the report for the north side of the site. Took this picture. They fenced off the old field. They did start to strip topsoil today. Trailers, stone for the trailer complex should show up hopefully tomorrow. Trailers in the next few days. The tree contractor has started to really get rid of the trees. They mobilized their huge chipper crusher machine today or last week. Today it came. So they'll start chopping up the trees into mulch and probably will use a lot of that mulch for the ENS socks for the site. The abatement work on a few buildings continues. The demolition contractor has been on site. He actually has 3 of the buildings down and some of the debris already hauled off site. The 2 quasi huts and the block maintenance building. Would you say the generator building as well? The next couple steps are really to get the ENS controls in place and start some bulk cut and fill for the building pad. Hopefully they'll start that activity in the next 2 to 3 weeks.
All the overhead electrical and house is also
Right.
down and
So Merit Electric mobilized and started that last week.
Yeah.
Completed that.
most of it down. There's telephone poles take down.
That's really the update on the 3 projects. The elementary and the bus garage have no change orders on the agenda. And the only one I mentioned earlier for the IS was the Merit Electric. Any questions from the board or administration? Alan, anything else to add?
No, they're into the Mission magazines right now, doing the asbestos abatement. And the first one that had the stairs on it has been completed and funding. They're into the second one and common inspections Thursday. And then they're prepping the last one. The demolition of that waste facilities probably started later this week or next week.
Yeah, we did plan on having kind of a pre-demolition meeting with the contractor for those structures. So we'll get that scheduled here in the next few days as well.
Alan, would you be willing to share the artifact that you put together? On everybody's place setting, there's a 1-page that just identifies a little bit about the Nike missile site, but Alan actually captured some things we were worried that we wouldn't be able to capture anything and to be able to keep. But he works some magic. So I'll turn it over to you.
Alan, may I just ask one quick question first? Is everything on schedule in all 3 projects? It's just a quick.
The IS is probably a little bit behind. They're hitting some of the recovery dates that they've given us the last couple months. So this next update will be important that we'll have to get together with Alan, the team and the district to determine if there's any accommodations that need made come in August.
Okay, thank you.
But the other two are right where they thought they'd be at this point.
So,
Sorry, Alan.
no, that's fine. Again, as we, as demolition is moving forward down at the old missile site, I finally had the opportunity to get into the other two missile magazines that weren't really too accessible. You have to go down the ladder. The one was actually in really surprisingly good shape. So, I started thinking about what we could do to kind of salvage something of it as a remembrance of what the site once was. So the elevator controls in the first magazine, where it was in better condition, was really the only thing that was small enough that I could take down and salvage and get out of there to kind of as a, we could keep as a memento of what once was there. So it just took the opportunity to grab it, stripped all the old paint off of it and refurbished it a little bit to make it somewhat functional and, just look a little better. Just wanted to have, the board to have it as we move forward, and quickly those facilities are going to disappear forever. So, but like I said, just something that I wanted to do, just remembered, since I spent quite a few years over in that facility as well.
Is that it there, Alan?
Yes. So the elevator controls, the master elevator control that they would bring the missiles up from underground. The small box had lights on it, so when they would close the doors as they latch, the lights would tell them that everything was completely secured. And then just, the panel directories from the electrical panels down there was really the only other thing that, I could grab that had any reference to what it was.
Well, I, as one person, really thank you for that, Alan, because I really feel strongly about preserving the history of that site. And that's some little part of it that we can put in a display case in the new elementary school or someplace. So thank you for doing that, just for me personally.
You're welcome. I actually have one more item that I'll bring to the board, in the future, but right now I can't get it out of the one missile magazine because it's too big. So I've got to wait for them to cut the hole in the top so I can get it out of there. But it is some artwork that the people that were stationed there painted on the ductwork years ago. So I cut the panel out of the ductwork, but I can't get it out the hatch because it's too big. So once they open it up, I'll retrieve the piece of sheet metal with the painting on it and get it into a place where we can display it.
It's on the painting, if you don't mind me asking.
It's a picture of 4 of the Nike missiles numbered like 59 through 62. And there's a saying underneath that says, with God's help, we will get past this operational readiness exercise. So it must have been commemorating whenever they first opened and had to go through an operational test of the site. So, there's some other artwork and stuff that I have pictures of that, kind of rough and faded, but, just wanted to get them. So I will send those to Dr. Miller so we can get those printed as well. But you're welcome.
Thank you, Alan. Thank you, Jason. Where are we? Mr. Neely, budget presentation.
All right, so good evening. I'm here tonight to present an update to the board on the 2026-27 general fund budget for the district. So within our budget timeline, we will have the final general fund budget for the board to consider at the first board meeting in June. So that will be June 16th. It will be at that point that the board will both vote on the budget and set a millage rate for next school year. So following last week's board meeting, we have a few updates regarding where the budget currently stands. We've continued to meet with internal departments to review their budgets and have various conversations still underway. At this time, we are working on some additional reductions to our district general fund budget. We currently are showing, after a few adjustments, you can see up there, a deficit of $6.55 million in next year's budget. In our internal review process, we have dedicated time set up within the next week or so with various schools and departments in the days ahead to work towards finalizing additional adjustments. As we do not have another board meeting until the final budget vote on June 16th, our plan is to share a weekly update with the board the next few weeks to show any additional revisions, adjustments we've been able to make, so that you have a sense in advance of that meeting, kind of where things stand. And we don't try to put 3 weeks worth of information on you at once. So looking at the budget from a big picture, you can see a few areas called out here. As I've shown before, 70% of our budget is from salary and benefits. When we also add in debt service, transfers, and contingency, those categories account for 84% of the overall district budget. So I wanted to, with that in mind, I wanted to take a moment to review sort of another viewpoint of our budget, and that is a summary of the school and departmental budgets that were presented to the board throughout the budget process. So these are essentially the non-staff costs that each department oversees. So there are no salary and benefits included here, and they make up most of the remaining amount of the budget that was not otherwise included in those 4 categories I just mentioned. As a whole, these areas make up 13.4% of our district budget right now. As I mentioned, these are mostly what was presented to the board by each department or school head. And these are the areas right now that we're focusing most intently on. Obviously, we'll continue to look at salary and benefits to make our best estimates and decisions there. But when we look at meeting with each school and department, these are sort of the pool that we're pulling from as our starting point. So you can sort of see the annual adjustments from 25-26 to 26-27 in each area, and the scope of that within our overall district budget. As you've heard from several department and school heads this year, everyone is facing sort of the same pricing pressures that we're seeing in a lot of walks of life right now. So we are trying to balance these conversations around budget reductions, efficient budgets with some of those upwards pressures on prices. And as I said, we'll continue with the next couple of weeks to provide regular updates to the board as we can hopefully make some additional adjustments. So this is another look at how our budget is structured, with 51% going to directly support instruction based on how the state requires us to report expenses, and another 32% going towards support services. On the revenue side, as you can see on the earlier adjustment slide, there was very little change here from our previous presentation. Real estate tax sits at 58% of the overall budget. Local sources as a whole are at 72%. When you also factor in other revenue and earned income tax, and state sources at 25%, and federal and other revenue sources at just 3%. So as I've mentioned throughout the process, we are showing the budget at this time at the full Act 1 index increase to 28.9465 mils, consistent with how we've typically provided budgets to the board in prior years at this stage. In June, as I mentioned, the board will vote on the specific millage rate. For the sake of showing other scenarios, here are 3 additional possible scenarios, including our existing millage rate of 27.7 and what this budget would look like at an increase of 0.5 and 1 mil increases. In each of these examples, I did hold the expenditure budget steady, just for having sort of a fixed point of comparison at each different level. So to review the district's overall position, I continue within the current school year to work on providing my best estimate of where we sit right now for the current school year. Currently estimating at just under a $3.8 million deficit, from a budget deficit of $5.88 million at this time last year. With budgeted revenues and expenses for next school year, I'd estimate us at a fund balance at the end of next year of $20.75 million. Within that, as I mentioned before, are the 2 years worth of $500,000 transfers to capital reserve to assist with our construction projects and the cash flow that was sort of modeled for us by our financial advisors at PFM in order to support the district's ongoing financial responsibility for our construction. So within that fund balance, we also have these specific long-term fund balance assignments dedicated towards PSERS increases, post-employment benefit costs, future capital needs, which would include construction and other items, and healthcare. After this one, the following slides are all items we've kind of reviewed in the past, just with their most updated versions. I've included them for your reference. If anybody would like me to review any specifics within those areas, certainly happy to do so. But at this time, I would open the floor to any questions or comments. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. Tonight, I have the privilege of recognizing an exceptional student leader, Pranita Shapingal, for her service as a student representative to the board and as my co-facilitator for the Superintendent Student Advisory Council. Pranita, I'm going to ask you to come up and join me. And while she's making her way up to the podium, I do want to introduce to our board somebody very special sitting in the audience. That is Ashley Fleming. She will be taking over Pranita's spot next year. She was voted on by Student Council. She applied, and so we're very excited. I've heard wonderful things about Ashley. We're going to be meeting next week, but we're looking forward to having you join us next year. And she came on her own just to see what it was like and to get the lay of the land with what it means to be a board rep. So, Pranita, over the past year, she has helped create such meaningful opportunities for student voice to shape the work of our district. Together, we have learned so much from our high school students on topics ranging from how to arrange a flex period, school safety, student experiences, and the evolving role of artificial intelligence in education. Through these conversations, Pranita consistently has demonstrated thoughtful leadership, intellectual curiosity, and a genuine commitment to improving our schools for others. One of the many highlights of her leadership was the work she did to support our faculty learning around AI. Pranita helped create a video that was shared with our educators during one of our AI PLCs, providing authentic student perspective and insight into how students are experiencing and utilizing emerging technologies. Her ability to bridge student voice with professional learning for our adult learners was truly remarkable. Pranita represents what it means to be a South Fayette Lion. She is future-focused, student-centered, and innovation-driven. She is deeply committed to serving others. She's an outstanding student, a skilled facilitator, an incredible leader, and most importantly, a wonderful person. This fall, Pranita will be continuing her academic journey at Penn State University, where she plans to major in engineering. We know that she will continue to accomplish amazing things and positively impact every community that she becomes part of. Pranita, I want to thank you for your leadership, your partnership, and for the many ways that you've helped South Fayette be better. We are incredibly proud of you, and we wish you nothing but success and happiness in your next chapter, and especially at Penn State. Congratulations. We're so grateful for you. Congratulations. And on behalf of the board and the administration, thank you. A little something for you to take to Penn State with you. I'm sure the board might have a question or two. You know how that works, right? But if you would like to say a few things, feel free.
Yeah, thank you so much. I just want to say that it's been my honor to be serving as a school board rep. And I want to thank everyone for being so welcoming and sweet. And also, of course, Dr. Miller. I think presenting my board reports right after her was a little bit intimidating, but her always saying great job right after has always helped me build my confidence. And I know that the leadership skills that I have equipped by being a part of this position is something that I'll carry even as I pursue my post-secondary education. So I just want to put my great heartfelt thank you out there to everyone. Thanks.
All right. Any questions? Well.
Do you know what you plan on taking up at Penn State?
Yeah, I want to do mechanical engineering.
Good luck to you.
Thank you.
All right, and how many more days for you seniors?
4 more days.
4 more days, but who's counting? No one's counting.
No one.
All right.
Okay, thank you so much.
Sure, certainly. All right, so I'll move on to a presentation. I wanted to give the board an update, and there is a motion on the board agenda about the JED Foundation. So I wanted to give an update and then just give some context about what is the JED Foundation. So as you can see, we've been very busy since October, really looking at preventative measures, not only postvention due to our 2 deaths by suicide, but also looking at preventative measures as we move forward. One of the major things that we have done is we established a behavioral health advisory council. We have 25 practicing experts in the field of mental health. We met in April as that introductory time. We will be meeting back with them most likely in June or early July. But our purpose was to have an established council of experts that we could lean on when we had questions or that we wanted to really have a review from those in the field who many of them are serving our students outside of the school district. We also are reviewing current practices, programs, and policies. Go ahead and switch that slide. Reviewing our current practices, programs, and should I do this, Rob? Yeah, there we go. I didn't even see it. I thought you were doing that for me. Thank you. Practices, programs, and policies. We will be having Melissa Nelson on June 4th come and speak with our school counselors and then with our academic team, as well as our student services team on the 15th and 16th. Dr. Nelson has been an incredible support during the year, the school year, giving us opportunities to float things past her to ensure that we were following best practices as we navigated our loss. In addition, we're still continuing with our connection and partnership with AHN. We have chill rooms in both the middle school and high school, and then we also have school-based therapeutic supports. That is 1 per building. And so we now have a full-time school-based therapist in each of our buildings. We're also reviewing our trainings. These are what we offer, but we're also looking at how we can enhance our trainings. Are there additional trainings for student, staff, and families that we can be looking at? So that will be one of the areas that we really look at in moving forward. We also have student belonging programs, and one I want to just kind of give a shout out is our Be Well Club. That's a relatively new club that we have at the high school, and they've been doing so much to really diminish the stigma of mental health, but also support our learners how they can speak up when they have concerns about each other. Also, a lot of different activities where we're trying to increase belonging here in our school district. We have opportunities for assemblies, family learning. Most recently, we've really been looking at, for the past 2 years, online safety, digital responsibility. Even as of today, we had Katie Ship. I have the right to, we actually had 2 presenters come in and speak to students today. They've had parent and family presentations as well as student presentations. We also have kindness, resilience, bullying prevention, other different assemblies as well, family engagement, community partnerships. So we've been providing those. We have a little trouble getting a lot of people to come in the evenings. I understand it's busy for a lot of families. So we're still looking at how do we include our families and get messages out to all of them. In addition, we have completed 4 anonymous surveys. One is the HAS survey to middle school and high school students. This is a nationally normed survey. It was administered the week of May 18th. Students had the option to not take it. Parents had the option to have their child not take it as well from either the student or the parent. We also gave a parent caregiver survey. As of today, we had 573 responses. For me, that is amazing. We typically don't get even a 10% response when we send things out to families. So a great response there. Educator survey, 195 responses. Support staff survey, 74 responses as of today. And the area I think that we really want to focus on, we want to ensure that at tier 1 and tier 2, tier 1 is what we offer to all of our students. Tier 2 is that step up. What do we need to do? There's a need. It's not an extreme need, but we know that we can provide some supports. Approximately 15% of our students should be falling in that range. And then we're looking at that tier 3. Those are our most intensive supports. Oftentimes we would say that these are students in crisis if we're talking about mental health. And so with that, part of the board proposal and what we've talked about in the past presentations that Mr. Neely has provided, and I'll give additional support to this, is a coordinator of integrated student support. And what I'll share is when we look at this, we're looking at, we should have less than 5% of students in that tier 3 crisis mode. Just this year, if you look at the last line, 63 students were identified as needing that level of support. So we're looking at, that being 6%, which is climbing up. We really want to be below 5% for the most extreme needs. When these are happening at the same time, the same day, there's a lot of students in crisis. And a lot of hands and adults who are trying to support that student. So one of the things that we see is it has been a combined effort of those administrators in our student services department. We've also had administrators that sometimes Dr. Deichler, myself, high school principals, middle school principals, and then also a school counselor coming together. And what we found is that there's a lot of people leading that process, and we want to make sure that we're consistent with ourselves, providing all of the things that we need. So looking at somebody for an integrated support to ensure that all of our parents, students that we're looking at, who are the mental health professionals out there? How do we ensure that students get seen in a timely manner? How can we help a family when they go to an intake? So we're looking at all of those for those tier 3. So this would be an administrator who really would become a case manager, overseeing and directing, whether it be teachers or colleagues in administration, on what are those next steps and how are we advocating for that student. We can definitely revisit this, but I just wanted to give just an overview. In addition, one of the other things that we're seeing is that we have students coming to us with different needs, more complex needs coming into kindergarten, first and second. And it is definitely difficult as our teachers are focused on making sure that they have math computation squared away before they come to the 3rd grade. They're looking at making sure our students can read and write and all of the things that they're focused on. We know that executive functioning and SEL is an important part for what our students need, and specifically our youngest students. We are proposing, and we shared this when we first started talking about the elementary school. So this has been something that we've been discussing for some time, but really looking at the teacher heart would be teaching health, emotions, awareness, relationships, and technology. All of those are areas of concern for our youngest learners, but this would allow for consistent instruction in social emotional learning, as well as executive functioning skills for our K-2 students. And so that is a proposal that we have as well. And then you'll see on the board agenda this evening that there is a request for approval for, it's called a bridge with the JED Foundation. I was able to attend a convening that really focused on executive functioning skills. And at that time, the JED Foundation, in partnership with AASA, which is the National Superintendents Association in which we belong, the JED Foundation was able to provide us a scholarship, a grant for a 3-year membership in a cohort with them. This roughly is about $33,000 per year if we were to ask for their technical assistance. But because of my attendance and their acceptance of South Fayette, we're able to get $100,000, 3 years of being part of a cohort with the JED Foundation at no cost. There is a concern in that it doesn't start until September. And we have surveys and needs and a lot of planning that we want to make sure. We don't want to wait. We need to ensure that we have all of the things in place for the start of the next school year. So we're asking for consideration of a 3-month bridge. A little bit about the JED Foundation, if you're not familiar. The JED Foundation was founded over 20 years ago. It was founded by a husband and wife who lost their child. Their child attended the University of Arizona, and his name was Jed, and he was a sophomore in college, and he died at college. And when they went to the president of the college, it was said there's nothing more that can be done. And the parents, the Satows, were not accepting of that. And they said, if you can't, we will. And they then convened experts in the field across the nation, and they created the JED Foundation. The JED Foundation for 20 plus years has mostly been in colleges, but over the past decade, they have started a high school program. Best practices that occur in college when there is a death by suicide also are very appropriate for high school level. There's some nuances that are a little bit different. So they do have something that's more focused for high school, and that's what we'll be looking at. But it really talks about a framework. It doesn't tell us what we have to do, but it gives us options of what those best practices are within that framework. But we get to have our say in terms of what tools do we want to use, but they'll tell us, here are some of the best ones out there. Here's what we recommend. Here's the process. Here's the training, et cetera. Here's who should be doing these screening tools, et cetera. Some statistics in terms of why the JED Foundation is needed and why AASA is behind providing these grants. When you look at high school students from 91 to 23, 20.4% of students have seriously considered suicide. And almost 10% of students have attempted. Those aren't far off from the statistics that we see here. In terms of in terms of suicide death, looking at this is across all ages. This is not specific to any of our students, but the number of families who have had a death by suicide of parent or loved one that our students are dealing with are many, and to be quite honest, too many. Most recently, we've looked at the number of individuals who are impacted by a death, by suicide. And there were numbers previously that we had seen that say anywhere, approximately 10, 15 people possibly. The latest statistic is that there could be up to 135 people affected. That's in line with what we're seeing right now. The number of people who are impacted and have been impacted this year, I would say that's the closer statistic. It's not 10 to 15. It's definitely closer to over 100 per death by suicide. And this, frightening as a parent of a 10-year-old right now, but when you look at that age of 10 to 14 and 15 to 24, the first cause of death is unintentional, and the second for both of those age groups is death by suicide. So with that, JED's mission and their vision, they are a nonprofit, and they want to protect the emotional health of our students, prevent suicide for our nation's teens and young adults. They look to have an evidence-based model. It includes the 7 areas on the outside of that, looking at independent living skills, so students have social, emotional skills, resilience, looking to identify and limit access to dangerous means, ensure that the right policies and protocols are in place to manage crises, ensure high quality and accessible services, promote social connectedness and positive school climate and culture, create opportunities and systems to notice someone who may be struggling, reduce shame, secrecy, and stigma so people will reach out for help. I believe that we are doing all of those, but I will never be satisfied to say that we are doing everything we can. I think there is always room for reflection, for improvement, for us to always review to ensure that those are happening with fidelity and across our school district. The program timeline outside of the bridge, which is what I'm going to be requesting that the board consider this evening. If you look at the first 3 circles, onboarding, activation, kickoff, team engagement, assessment, those are year 1. Year 2, you have more of the implementation, and then they come in and do an audit, and there's really technical support for any areas that we still feel that we need to go back and revisit in that year 3. You can see that there is a wide variety of program benefits. And, you know, I feel like all of these, we can try and do these on our own. We can try and use what supports that we have in place. I can tell you that there's many of us who have really become steeped in what the research is saying, but that doesn't mean that we're experts in this area. And so leaning on an organization, but this is their focus, this is their expertise, and that it is a framework. It is not a script, but it truly is a framework. These are things that I look forward to reviewing and then having our district benefit. The bridge that I've referred to a few times this evening, it will really help us from June through August, and it will help us in 3 very specific ways. 1, I shared with you the survey data that we have. I mean, we have a lot of data points, and so they will help us analyze that data and also give recommendations based on the data that we have, and triangulating that data, meaning what happens if the adults, support staff, educators, parents are all saying one thing, but our students are saying something so different. What does that mean? But looking at triangulating that, maybe we're all on the same page, maybe that is an alignment, or maybe we're not, but giving us really recommended priorities from a national organization they're experts in this field. Provide training for educators at the start of the school year. And then lastly, provide communication plan focusing on suicide prevention. So really giving us the tools, the necessary tools that have already been vetted in order to proceed without stepping out of line with what the cohort. So making sure things are really streamlined and all of the pieces are connected as we move into that 3-year cohort. Lastly, this is really what we are focused on, and that every student deserves a trusted adult, and making sure our trusted adults are there, ready to support, have the skill, the awareness. We have wonderful, wonderful educators and support staff and administrators here, but we want to make sure that our students see them as trusted adults. We also believe that excellence and well-being can and should coexist. So a focus on mental health and a focus on the JED Foundation and what they're asking doesn't lessen excellence and our commitment to being future-focused, student-centered, and innovation-driven. And lastly, that we want our Lions to know that they are valued not just for what they bring or what they achieve, but who they are, and really looking at mattering. And that really is a focus this year, ensuring that students know that they matter, not because of a grade, not because of a resume, not because of achievements. Those are wonderful things, but because of who they are, they matter to us. And so that is our commitment as we move forward and hopefully partner with the JED Foundation. I can try and answer any questions that you might have. We are really looking at continued conversations with the JED Foundation. So if I don't have answers for you tonight, I can definitely get those from future conversations that we have with them. All right. Thank you so much.
All right, consent agenda. We have 3 items. Any questions on the consent agenda? I have a motion to approve the consent agenda, 3 items.
So moved.
Moved by Joe. Second by Mike. All in favor? Opposed? Motion carries. There's no one here to comment. So Dr. Miller, your monthly report.
I will make this short and sweet because you just heard from me, but I'm very proud. There is a packet at your place setting from the Pittsburgh Business Times 2026 rankings that came out last week. You'll have a lot of information in that packet, but South Fayette was ranked 5th overall in Southwestern Pennsylvania for 2026, continuing a multi-year trend of strong academic performance among the region's top districts. So we're very proud of that. In addition, we are ranked 7th in Pennsylvania, according to statewide Pittsburgh Business Times for 2026. And I believe that out of the 7 top districts, that 6 of them, I believe, and I'll go back and check, are from the Southwestern PA region. So very proud about that. In addition, 8th grade performance ranked 8th of our Southwestern PA, and then Keystone Performance, South Fayette ranked 4th. Once again in our region. You can see kind of history over the past 4 years of how we've ranked in those areas. And you can see that I pulled for the board the rankings for each of those areas, the top 20. So I just wanted everybody to have that information. If you're interested, the methodology is on the last page. I wanted to make sure that that was included. It isn't a snapshot of just 1 year. It actually is a snapshot of 3 years, but very proud of the achievement. And I wanted to make sure that the board had a copy of that. Thank you.
Thank you. Renita.
Okay, for May, throughout the month of May, South Fayette students remain focused on academic achievement and end-of-year milestones as students across the district prepared for final projects, testing, scheduling, and transition activities for the upcoming school years. Seniors also are planning and starting the commencement preparations through upcoming events. Students across all buildings continue to participate in a wide variety of school-wide activities and community events. At the middle school, students took part in the annual school-wide kickball tournament and activity day, encouraging teamwork and school spirit through games and outdoor activities. The district also emphasized creativity, innovation, and student enrichment through opportunities such as summer STEAM programs, youth sports camps, and hands-on learning experiences. Elementary and intermediate students were encouraged to participate in activities that promote collaboration, problem-solving, and leadership beyond the classroom. Community involvement and service remained an important focus throughout the month. Students participated in fundraising and outreach initiatives supporting organizations such as Make-A-Wish, while schools also continued efforts to strengthen family engagement and community connection through district events and activities. In athletics, South Fayette teams had an exceptionally strong spring postseason. Multiple teams advanced their RIPIOs and PIAA playoff competitions, including boys volleyball, baseball, lacrosse, and track and field. Student athletes earned numerous school records, championship appearances, all section honors, and state qualifications, continuing to demonstrate outstanding dedication and sportsmanship. As the school year comes to a close, South Fayette continues to prioritize student well-being and support services while preparing students and families for a successful transition into summer programs, graduation celebrations, and the 2026 to 2027 school year. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Renata. Business office, there are 22 items for today. Do we have any questions or comments on these items? No questions? Do I have a motion to approve business items 1 through 22? Motion by Teresa,
Second.
second by Joe. All in favor? Opposed? Motion carries. Personnel, there were 8 items voted on last week. There are 13 items to vote on today, 4 of which are new. Dr. Miller, if you could help me with those.
Of course, the items that are new for the agenda this evening, sabbatical leave of absence for middle school teacher Mary Elena Amato, effective for next school year. Another item is approval for Washington and Jefferson students Avery Bayard and Mia Reddix to be student teachers with intermediate school English language learner teacher Sarah Cabinor, and that's August through December. Item 12 is recommendation to hire the following personnel at the EPR rate for the 2026 summer STEAM elementary and intermediate school summer STEAM camps. That would be IS and ES STEAM camp director Shad Wachter, IS STEAM camp teacher Shane Coyne, Ryan Schonenberger, and Rachel Geis. Elementary school STEAM camp teachers Rebecca Colangelo, Claire Kusarovi, and Andrea Dawson. STEAM camp nurse Megan Griffith. Item 13 is approval to hire Casey Teagarden as a high school permanent substitute science teacher for next school year at Master Step Rate 1. Step 1 rate, I apologize.
There are any questions on 1 through 13 personnel? No questions? Do I have a motion to approve 13 personnel items?
So moved.
Moved by Jason, second by Esther. All in favor? Opposed? Personnel items, motion passes. Education, we took care of last week. Nothing in transportation. 2 items in athletics. Do we have any questions or comments on either of the items in the athletics? Do I have a motion to approve 1 and 2 in athletics?
So moved.
Moved by Teresa. Second by Esther. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries for athletics. Construction, there are 2 items. Do we have any questions or comments in construction? No. Do I have a motion to approve construction items 1 and 2?
Motion to approve.
Motion by Tom,
Second.
second by Joe. All in favor? Opposed? Construction items pass. Miscellaneous, we do have a first reading of policy 819 for suicide awareness, prevention, and response.
Mr. Gray, could we go back to personnel? We have items 1 through 8 that were on the board agenda from last week that we still need to approve. We voted on the new items, but the ones from last week, I think, are still out there.
Is that not one?
You see.
We didn't vote on those last week?
No, so,
Sorry.
no, that's all right. It would be items 1 through 8.
I'll make the motion to approve carryover personnel items 1 through 8.
Second.
Joe made the motion, Jason seconded, all in favor,
Aye.
opposed? Motion for carry over items 1 through 8 and personnel carries. All right, so once again, no one here for comment. Solicitor's report? No report. No report. Board comments. I don't have anything. Rebecca. It's not, you know. Esther. Do you have anything for PSBA? Esther. Esther. It's here. Thank you.
PSBA is requesting that school board priorities is requesting that school boards give their top priorities for what legislation we would like them to work on. And that is due by April 13th. Excuse me, they sent an email April 13th to all members. So if there's some legislation that you feel they need to work on, please send an email about that. Also, testing should be done annually to make sure that there's no lead in the water in schools. Just putting that out there. And if anyone is interested, there is a show on May 27th about the power of the arts and examining the role of music, creativity, and student engagement in public schools, if you're interested. That's it.
Tom Parkway? No report. No report. And Joe Shasta.
No report from Shasta.
All right. Should be it.
Mr. Gregg, may I just, going back, we had a retirement of 2 of our custodians here at the high school. They are fondly referred to as the Jans, Janice Quinlan and Janet Cranack. They, I never see them apart, I'll tell you, and they have done such a great job of supporting all of our high school teachers. And there's just the fact that they are retiring at the same time and deciding to leave, it will leave a huge gap as when many of our Lions do retire. But Jan and Jan, the Jans, have been just incredible employees as well as colleagues to all of us here. And they just take care of all of the little things and the big things for us. And so I just want to congratulate them on their retirement. I know that the high school is already feeling the loss of the 2 of them for not being here on a daily basis.
Thank you. Anything else? Do I have a motion to adjourn our meeting?
So moved.
Moved by Joe,
Second.
second by Jason. All in favor? Opposed? Meeting's adjourned.